Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining today. Wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Damodar, Radha Shyam Sundar, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Ramachandra Bhagwan, Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani, the Singhadev Bhagwan, Gaunitai, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So continuing on with Damodar Leela. We are at the 18th verse of the 9th chapter of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavad Purana. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, so up to this moment, we've come to the stage where Mother Yashoda has caught Krishna and is trying to bind him with a rope. And that rope is actually the rope of love. They're using the literal ropes, but actually what will bind him is the rope of love. He cannot be bound by anything else. So because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration. And the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. When child Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. Nobody can bind the Lord unless he agrees to it. This is a very important point. And he will agree to it only if he trusts that devotee. He trusts that devotee completely. He sees the efforts put in by that devotee to please him. And that effort will draw his compassion, his mercy towards that devotee. And then he will allow to do anything. He will allow that devotee to do anything to him. And here we see Mother Yashoda is binding him. While embracing Krishna, Yashoda Mai called for more rope. The elders spoke amongst themselves. How unusual that Yashoda Mai can tie her arm around the son. So she can put her arm around him, but not the ropes. How is this possible? There you go. You can see she's got her arm around him, but she can't tie the knot on the ropes. No matter how hard she tries, Yashodama is unable to realize her plan. Such an over endeavor. Why does she not give up? So they're now talking to her. You are our queen and advisor to the king in matters of state, but yet you cannot even tie your own baby. So they are having a little dig at Mother Yashoda. Of course, they love Mother Yashoda very much. This is said in joke. There are supernatural forces at work here. It would appear that Krishna is none other than the Supreme Lord himself. So these are the Brijbasis. They're saying to Mother Yashoda, hey, you don't know who you're dealing with here. He's maybe your son, but he's actually the Supreme Lord. Yashoda might acknowledge their wisdom with a nod of her head. For a brief moment, she understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but only for a moment. To her, he may be the Supreme Lord, but he was also her son. And Krishna being her son takes priority. Even if he may be the Supreme Lord, it doesn't matter. The important thing is, this is my son. She had undertaken to tie him just after sunrise, so around about 6 in the morning. And although the sun had begun its descent, her efforts remained fruitless. So nearly 12 hours they've been at this. She had been trying to tie the knot for hours. Overwhelmed with fatigue and frustration, she sat down to review her plan. She's almost in the state of giving up. What do I do with this boy? No matter how much rope we've got, can't tie him. At that moment, Krishna reasoned. He thought, she is so determined to discipline me. Such devotional resolve must be honored and rewarded. Perhaps I should give up my stubbornness and let her have her way. My divinity is of no significance to her. Yes, he might be the Supreme Lord, but actually he is my son. How marvelous that her love for me is not tainted by any awe of reverence, but simply a desire to please me, protect me, correct me. So this is why Krishna really appreciates the love of these great, great devotees. They don't treat him as God. They love him for who he is. Of course, he's God, but he also has a personality, and they love that personality of his. The rising compassion in Krishna's heart implored him, give yourself to her, do as she wills. Not because being bound is part of an eternal pastime, but because she wants it. Yashoda Mai wiped her brow and reflected on what has been happening, what has been said. She was giving up the idea of binding Krishna. At the same moment, Krishna decided, I submit. Yashoda Mai had been knotting ropes for hours. Although she decided to stop, by the agency of Yogmaya, her hands continued the momentum. So she tied one more knot. And that was the knot which bound Krishna. So now there's a few verses, 19 to 21 from the Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit, this entire universe with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He has many, but this is the one which is predominant, and this is the one which shows his sweetness to its fullest extent. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead the deliverer from this material world. Such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. So this mercy that Mother Yashoda got, nobody else can get. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators. So what he's saying, Krishna can be accessed, can be associated with through devotion, not through mental speculation. To those, and not to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances. You can't do tapasya to get the Lord. You have to do bhakti. Or to those who consider the body the same as a self. So he was 2 years, 2 months. She's tied him up. As soon as Krishna was bound, the 100 lengths of rope miraculously appeared and fell in a carpet around him. So Krishna is showing his divinity. Seeing this, Yashodamai was bewildered. What's going on? Looking more closely, she saw that Krishna's belly was now bound with the 2 original silken the ropes that came from her hair. which came from her plaited hair. Only those cords could contain Krishna. All the other ropes for churning, for Gaumata, had no consequence, had been no consequence. Yashodamai now consciously tied together to two cords into one knot, into another knot, and then quickly tied one more knot, just in case. And she also checked that the knots were still there. Mission accomplished. The transcendental thief has been caught and bound. Now she can move on to the next task at hand. She took the rope that had been tied to the mortar and connected it to the cord, encircling Krishna's waist. Then she proceeded to give him one more telling off. So not only did she tie him up, she decided to give him a hard time. I hope you will now learn your lesson and follow the saintly conduct of your father instead of the mischief of the monkeys. Krishna thought, here we go again. Reference to the monkey insult again. Yashodamai stood up before turning to leave, addressed Krishna. You will stay where you are until I clean up the chaos that you have made. In the meantime, there will be no play, no toys. When I am done, then I shall come for you and we will go and see the Diwali celebrations. Do you understand? Krishna sheepishly lowered his head, feeling completely humiliated before his friends, and whimpered, Yes, mother. Mother Yashodamai embraced and repeatedly kissed his cheeks, saying, You started this day off as a troublemaker. Now finish it as a good boy. Telling his friends to stay there and keep an eye on Krishna, Yashodamai turned and with a victorious smile invited her gopi friends to help her clear the mess in the house. Again, showing service to Krishna takes precedence. The remaining gopis teased Krishna. O Prince, now that you are bound, Dama, around your belly, Udhar, Damodar. So Dama is being bound by the rope, and Udar is his belly, Damodar. We shall call you Damodar. His friends joined in, called Krishna Damodar. And Krishna thought this is how everyone will now tease him. Insult to injury. As time passed and the Damodar Lila became a fond memory, Krishna will treasure that name as one of his favorites. Beautiful name, Damodar. Whenever we say Damodar, we remember this pastime. This pastime is one of the most glorious pastimes. At present, though, it sounded like an insult, and he made his displeasure known with a frown on his sweet face. As soon as Yashodamai left, Krishna cast aside his sad face and false tears. He assumed a composed demeanor and filled the courtyard with the moonlight of his smile. Making the best of his predicament, he boasted to his friends, Just see how I kept my mother at bay. Oh dear. The boys answered, It was a memorable exhibition. Now, tied to this mortar, what will you do? Bound to the mortar, Krishna had still found ways to play with his friends. Friends who are pure devotees wanting to play with him as a child. There you go. They never want to stop playing with Krishna. They're always ready to play with him anytime. As soon as Yashoda, no, don't know that. Remembering his predicament, Krishna's eyes would now and then well up with tears. Seeing this, the monkeys became increasingly excited, and his friends lovingly tried to console him. Some boys try to ease caution as embarrassing but some boys try to ease his embarrassment by offering him a snack. Friend, would you like me to ask my mother for some yogurt? At the sound of yogurt, Krishna became aware of his hunger. The skirmish with his mother crossed the timelines of several meals. He eats a few times a day, so this is quite a few meals he's missed, during which he has not eaten anything, but he was still very sharp. Silly, your mother is at my house. Why bother her? Some of you should run to your homes and see what is available. So the great schemer, Krishna never stops. In great happiness, the boys would run home and bring whatever was available and feed Krishna. In this way, they enjoyed a picnic. They're always having a picnic. This is one of the things that they constantly do. Then Krishna started to test the mortar. How heavy was it? He started he started pulling the mortar. To the applause of his friends, Krishna slowly dragged the mortar here and there. So this is that wooden block, which is quite heavy. But Krishna was, of course, moving it around, occasionally sitting down to catch his breath. So text 22, while Mother Yashoda was busy with household affairs, the Supreme Lord Krishna observed twin trees known as Yamala Arjun, which in the former millennium had been the demigod sons of Kuver. So this is Krishna dragging that mortar. His mother's final words to him were still ringing in his ears. My dear boy, your whimsical conduct has now come to an end. If you think you're so clever, then free yourself of this rope. Go ahead, pull the mortar behind you and go wherever you like. So that's what he was doing. He was obeying his mother's instructions. To the delight of his friends, he was pulling the mortar. But would he go? Where would he go? Aware that his mother could easily hear the Gopas cheer, Krishna placed his finger to his lips to calm them. Then he remembered Narad's curse to the demigods. Recognizing the two stately urgent trees, he decided to invoke his divine power to liberate the demigods trapped in the tree. Krishna remembered the past lives of his demigods. So let's continue tomorrow. That's another divine pastime which we can look at in its own right, because Krishna demonstrates his mercy by liberating these two demigods. But they had a past, and Krishna, through the devotee's mercy, liberates them actually. Any questions? Any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Nariman.
Yes, Krishna waited for nearly up to 12 hours before he decided to get bound. And is it even somebody like Mother Yashoda had to wait such a long time? There's
Yeah.
no chance for people like us. And
Yeah.
why did he wait so long? He could have done it earlier if he had desired.
Definite. I think he was obviously enjoying the Leela. And she was, as well as the Bijwasis who were witnesses. And, the main thing about Krishna is the mood of enjoying. His Ramachandra's mood was very strict, but Krishna's mood was very playful and joyful. So he was enjoying this Leela. Of course, it was a little, it was like mother was telling him off, but still he was enjoying it. Mother Yashoda was enjoying because she was looking at the son and her son and thinking, wow, this boy is so majestic, so glorious, so beautiful. So she was enjoying, the Bridge Basis were enjoying. So it's like the Ras dance, they spend one night, but it's extended into a whole night of Brahma, which is like millions of years, because they're in that mood of enjoying each other's company, enjoying the Leela, the pastime. So he will prolong it, because it's the mood of enjoyment, the mood of enjoyment. So yeah, and I suppose he wanted to see her commitment to discipline him. Will she easily give up? And he realized she's not going to give up. It showed her determination. So it also gives us an example. We sometimes find roadblocks, when we're doing something. But this is a Leela which gives us an example. Even if there are roadblocks, we persevere, we continue, we do our very best, and then we let the Lord's mercy take us the rest of the way, you know. So many things why it's a whole day event. Yeah,
We
many,
do
many
bhakti
things.
is a form of enjoyment rather than getting much serious about it, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Right?
It is. It is. Krishna's mood is very much, you
He
know,
likes to enjoy and likes to,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Yeah, bhakti, we can change that into mode of enjoyment and loving it rather than just like a ritual.
exactly, exactly. That's a very good point. Yeah, that's well put actually. Rather than a ritual, it's the Leela. And as Jayanti just said, she said he wanted to spend time with his mother, and this was a very interesting way to spend time.
Thank you, Bhakti.
Thank
Uh,
you. It's a good question. Yes, Praveen.
Um, yeah, Hare Krishna. It's
Very good.
really interesting. Are
Hmm.
you saying that did it went all night,
No,
this
all day from
all
6 in the
day from
morning
morning to evening,
till roughly 6 in the evening. Yeah, so 12 hours.
12 hours? Then he was all right. And
Yeah,
the Mataji just now said that it was just the lila. The Krishna wanted more love from the
yeah,
mother,
yeah.
and
He was enjoying. He was enjoying
he
her.
was enjoying. And
Yeah.
that's what sometimes our children do. When
Mm,
our children were young and we want to say, oh, I'm just generally telling you, I'm going to
mm,
hit you, they start running and we run behind them and they
mm,
run and run and run, but we can't catch them. So this is what happened with Damodar, Krishna. When
mm,
sometimes our children young, sometimes they do something, I say, okay, I'm going to hit you. And they start running. They say, oh, mommy's going to hit me. So they start running. And we run behind them, but we can't
catch 'em.
catch them because they're running so fast.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
this is true. The children wants the mother's love.
And he
And
wanted that, and he obviously, as Ram, he was well behaved because Shalyamaji never ran after him.
no,
But as Krishna, he made her run.
run, yeah. Anyway, lovely, very nice. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So, anything else? Anybody else? Okay. Damodar Leela ki jai, Radha Damodar ki jai, Yashoda Damodar ki jai.